Welcome to the Bucher and Friends podcast, co-starring 10-year NFL veteran and Super Bowl champion, Will Blackmon.
Manning from the end zone. He throws, and a deflect away, and it is picked off by Will Blackmon, the former Giant.
Tim Dwight watches it hit, bounces, picks it up at the 10, slips a defender, fumbles the football, it's up for grabs. It's covered in the end zone by Will Blackmon for a Green Bay touchdown.
And now, here is your host,
Let's send it over to Rick Bucher.
Rick Bucher.
Welcome to another episode of Bucher and Blackmon, subsidiary of Bucher and Friends, part of the United WeCast network. I am Rick Bucher. He is Will Blackmon, Super Bowl champ. You can find him on Twitter at Will Blackmon, and you can see him on the NFL Network Sundays on Game Day and various other times as well. You can find my stuff at Bleacher Report. You can follow me on Twitter at Rick Bucher, and you can follow the show on Instagram and on Twitter at Bucher Friends. All right, it's the bouillabaisse time of the sports season. Super Bowl is over. NBA All-Star weekend is behind us. Baseball, pitchers and catchers, I think have reported, but we're in that gray area. March Madness, not yet quite started. We got some of the conference tournaments that have begun. And so we find ourselves in this kind of dead period of just a mix of things. It's when the challenge is greatest for those of us who produce sports talk and chewing up subjects because the subjects are rather lean. We're on a lean diet right now. So one of the things I did want to get to, just talking about looking at guys like Kyler Murray, and we are going to talk about Kyler Murray, and actually some surprising things that I heard and read about him with his decision to play football as opposed to baseball for the Athletics. It led me to wondering, when it comes to Will Blackmon, my co-host, who had a standout pro career as a football player in the NFL, if there was another sport that if I told you you could have identical success in another sport, what would that sport be and why?
Identical success?
Yes.
Not even just the best at, just identical success?
Why do you mean to go best at? Why does it have to be best at?
Because
I mean, that's
okay. If I got to pick a sport,
yeah,
it would be soccer, football, and this is why.
Okay,
you can be whoever and play in the top divisions, Premier League, La Liga, whatever it is, Bundesliga,
English Premier League,
exactly, English Premier League, all the above.
Serie A.
You're just a rock star.
Yeah, yeah.
Period. That it's unreal. And then to be the best soccer player is crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was my dream to play in the NFL, and that's what it was. But in terms of if you want to be, really good at one sport and have that star power, for me, soccer's international, soccer's worldwide.
So now I understand what you're saying is that if the question was, you could be the greatest at any sport, what sport would you want to be the greatest in? And your answer would be soccer.
It would be soccer. Yeah. Brady is arguably the best player in the NFL of all time, right?
Right.
Could be between him and Jerry Rice, whatever you want to say.
Right.
But Tom Brady is not even our biggest rock star.
Right.
In the NFL. It's not. He's not.
And he's not even the biggest rock star. In spite of the NFL's popularity, you'd still say LeBron James is a bigger rock star when it comes to athletes in the United States.
Well, you could put probably 10 basketball players in front of Brady.
Yeah, you probably could. You probably could. So is it the global appeal of soccer? Because you're being very shrewd. You're being a businessman on this. You're like, if I'm going to be great at something, why don't I be great at the most popular sport on the planet?
Which is extremely hard too, in terms to be the best soccer player. Also
true. But is it? I guess. The reason I approached the question the way I did is because I was thinking, what do you have a passion for? What do you love? Like if it's Brad Hopkins, who I've done some radio with, lineman for Houston and Tennessee, right? His dream was to be the next Karl Malone. That's what he spent his youth on trying to develop. And I think if I asked him this question, he would say, and he was all pro. He said, I would have liked to have been the next Karl Malone or the next Charles Barkley or whatever. That would have been his dream because he loved that game.
Right.
So that's kind of where I was coming from.
I love soccer.
Second to football?
No, second to football for me is boxing.
Oh. So why didn't you like, you could be the world heavyweight champ? Boy, talk about having your name out there, and it's an individual sport. No?
No. Because you still got to work your ass off to promote the damn thing.
What?
You still got to work crazy hard just to promote the damn fight.
You are confusing me now. Like, so it's the having to promote your boxing that would turn you off?
But yeah, you could be really good at boxing. And right now, okay, Deontay Wilder. Yeah. Like not many people still know who he is.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, and he's the heavyweight champ in the U.S.
Well, boxing.
He's our heavyweight champion. Obviously, the main champion right now. Deontay only has one belt. He has the WBC belt.
Yeah.
The main champion right now is Anthony Joshua. He has the IBF, the WBA, and the WBO. He's actually going to fight in the U.S. for the first time coming up here soon. Some way, somehow, those two would meet. But
can I be honest?
It's just
this
different.
Is all news. This is all news to me, and I don't feel the least bit bad that it is. Like normally, when there's something that I feel like, gosh, I should know that, or I feel badly that I didn't know that.
That's my point.
Okay.
Right now, the number one pound for pound boxer in the world is this guy named Vasily Lomachenko. Nobody has no idea who this guy is. He is unbelievable. It's between him and probably Bud Crawford, who's American. Unreal. Everything I just said to you is Spanish. You don't have no idea what I'm talking about.
Pretty much. So, but here's the thing.
That's my point, though.
So,
these dudes light it up.
So I'm in the majority in terms of
exactly. Yes,
people don't care about boxing anymore, and there was a time when I did. Why do you still have this intense interest when everybody else has stepped off? What is it about the sport?
Okay, this is how I am for sports in general. When I truly understand the tactics and understand the work, the training behind the scenes, how it all comes together and then put on display, that's where I'm like, oh, wow. That's what happened to me in soccer. Growing up, my friends would want me to play soccer. I'm like, no way. Like, we don't play soccer, man. We play football and basketball.
And who's we? Who's we? Who's we?
My friends. Me and my friends in my neighborhood.
Okay. And you grew up in?
I grew up around a lot of Dominicans and Puerto Ricans. So if you're saying we as in us black dudes playing football only, no.
Okay. But there was a lot of Dominicans and the Puerto Ricans in your neighborhood, they said we don't play soccer either?
They played baseball. Yes, exactly. Beat that.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And so it wasn't until when I went to Boston College, one of my close friends in college was Charlie Davies.
Oh, okay.
And he was our standout guy and was unreal.
Made the national team player.
Right. Made the men's team, and then obviously had that bad car accident and then bounced back, played overseas, came back.
Yep.
So watching him, I was like, damn, this is actually let me learn it because this is my friend. Mm-hmm. And then I think it was the 2004 World Cup. I think it was Luis Figo's last go around on Portugal's national team. And that was like Ronaldo's coming out party. And it was almost like Luis Figo was passing the torch, And so I really watched that entire World Cup and was like, holy smokes, like this is really cool. And I really got to understand the tactics. And so from, what am I going on, 14 years now, I've been really following soccer and understanding it, And so for me with boxing, I grew up, like that was what we did. We grew up watching the heavyweight fights back then, whether it was, Holyfield, Tyson, Rockman or Riddick Bowe, Lennox Lewis, like all those guys. And obviously, as time went on, it became like the welterweights and the lightweights and what have you, middleweights. And same thing with that too. It's just hand to hand. It's just boxing. There's no feet. There's nothing else. There's only 6 punches you can throw. And there's such an art and tactic to that. And just the training and just everything that goes into it. They do all this stuff just for these, 36 minutes to fight. Mm-hmm. I think it's fascinating. And it's so cool because at the end of every fight, the guys hug and they getting emotional because basically they're saying, I know what you went through.
Yeah.
So when I get to learn the taxes and all that stuff, the strategies, that's when I'm all in. So that's why, especially those two sports in particular, big fans of.
That's good stuff. All right. So you do have a second job, though, other than, third job, I guess. I don't even know if this is not a job. This is just a passion that you have to do this podcast with me. The job is the NFL Network, and you have another job, which is working for Under Armour. You've been selected to be an Under Armour All-American Camp Series coach. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, that's also a passion.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all a passion of mine. Yeah.
So how did it come about? How did you end up doing this? Because you and I have talked about coaching, and you've talked, you train guys and everything. What inspired you to accept this? I assume it was they asked you to do it.
Yeah, no, this is how small the world is, right? So last year, these parents at our kid's school was like, hey, can you check on my son Chase? He plays football. He's in 8th grade. This kid was like 6 foot, 160, big kid for an 8th grader.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, I'll check him out. He's going to the Under Armour All-American Camp Series. So I'm like, cool, I'll go check him out. It was at Mission Viejo High School right by my house. And I was watching it. It was really cool, really well done by Under Armour. I'm looking on the field. I'm like, God, I recognize that guy on the field. And I'm looking real close. So I run down and go to the fence. And obviously I can't get in. I don't have a pass. And I asked the guy, I said, hey, is that Jason Swepson? And he was like, yeah. How you know Jason Swepson? I was like, dude, that's the guy who got me to go to Boston College.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he recruited me to go to BC. So he came over, and it was so cool. I haven't seen him in forever, maybe a decade. And it was almost like it was yesterday. And he actually runs that circuit. So he has a program where they put on camps for, major brands like Under Armour. So he runs that entire camp and, asked me, not too long ago if I want to do it. And I was like, absolutely. I'll help out with the West Coast camp.
How many schools recruited you?
Oh, man. Maybe like 30. I probably had 30 offers.
And how did you wind up picking BC?
You know what? It's funny. I was kind of a pain in the butt to recruit because I really looked at everything. I looked at motives. I looked at interest. I looked at depth chart. I looked at conference. I looked at everything. I did. I can
see where that would have.
Well, you know what? It's funny because they're like, well, how can you're from Rhode Island, if you should be happy to get an offer and take it and run with it. I was like, yeah, if that were the case, my first offer was Boston College. My very, very first offer was a Maine Division I school.
Yeah.
And then after that, all hell broke loose. So I'm like, okay, let me see what's happening. So I went to BC and as a visit, and I met, I knew Coach Jason Swepson, and he was just real with me the whole time. I was the number one guy from my sophomore year all the way to my senior year. I was their number one guy, period. And it was very familiar. My brother went there, so I knew all about the school. It was an hour from my house, so it was far enough where I can be on my own, but close enough if I wanted to go home. And at the time, Miami was there in that conference, West Virginia, Syracuse, Pitt, Virginia Tech. Like there were some big schools. And then we played Notre Dame every year as well. But I remember I took a visit to Wisconsin when Barry Alvarez was there, and the coaches took me out to dinner, and they were like, took me to a really, it was Wisconsin, so the steaks were gorgeous.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
And they took me out to eat, and they wanted me as a running back. And I said, have you seen my film? Like I don't run in between the tackles, dude. I bounced everything. I was a scat back. I was more like a Pac-10 or Pac-12 now type of running back. I was like, that's not my style. Like Big Ten backs, you look at Ron Dane and Larry Johnson, Cedric Irvin, big backs,
So why did they think you could be that? Like
I don't know. I think they're just getting greedy and just wanted all the athletes. And so they also had a freshman running back, Anthony Davis, there as a starter. And so I'm like, well, what if I want to play defensive back? They're like, yeah, you can play defensive back. I was like, what if I want to play receiver? They were like, yeah, you can play receiver too if you want. I was like, oh, dude, you guys don't know what you guys want, man.
Wow.
Oh,
were they the second closest? Who came closest?
They were very, very close. Wisconsin was, because I had the greatest visit. I wanted to major in sports medicine. They had a beautiful, brand new sports medicine facility there. It was a Big Ten, and I grew up liking Michigan. They played against them. I actually visited them when they played against Michigan. Camp Randall Stadium was unreal. I had such a great visit where BC ended up calling me a lot because they were terrified I was going to commit there. So I took another unofficial visit to Boston College. And I actually wore my Wisconsin sweatshirt.
No, you did not. No, you didn't.
And those shirts are bright red.
Dude, why did you do that?
Dude, that was me, man. I just played games.
Oh, man. Are you? So the Will Blackmon that I know, the nice Will Blackmon, when did he appear? When did he show up? Because that ain't nice.
I've always been there.
Oh, that's brutal, man.
I was on their field during practice, and I had my Wisconsin. I mean, their shirts are bright red with the big white bold letters, Wisconsin.
I'm surprised they let you stay there. Or like they didn't. What is it? Is it Ohio State where you can't wear anything
Michigan
blue?
Yeah. So that was, and then I didn't have any Southern schools until I played in the Army game, the U.S. Army game. And
did you wear a Navy shirt to that?
No. And so after that, I had I remember my dad called me downstairs. He was like, "William, there's a coach on the phone. I think his last name is like Fulmer or something like that." I was like, "Dad, that's Coach Fulmer from Tennessee. How you not know who that is?" Like, snatched the phone from his hand. Yeah. He was like, "Oh, he's a Bill." I was like, "Yeah, dude, he's a big deal." And it was him. And I talked to him for a while. People were like, "How you didn't get recruited by Notre Dame?" I was like, I turned down Notre Dame. And they're like, "Why?" I was like, "I don't know. The guy who was recruiting me, I don't know. I just didn't vibe with him, Oddly enough, he's now the head coach of Boston College.
Is that right?
Steve Adazio, yeah. Actually, Steve Adazio he recruited me to go to Notre Dame. He's the head coach. And the running back coach is Brian White, who recruited me to go to Wisconsin. They're both at Boston College.
That's wild.
I know.
That's wild.
I did. I had about 30 offers. It was a good time, but I just knew in my heart, I wanted to go to BC.
What happened to the sports medicine?
I don't know, man. I think that was just me trying to sound educated, like I knew what I wanted to do. When in reality, I just majored in football. I majored in football. I minored in English.
So, what closed the deal on BC?
Somebody had to change my mind. Nobody did.
Oh, because they invested the most in you for as longer than anybody else?
It was just genuine. It was no promises, nothing. It was just real. It was just honest. This is what it is. You're our guy. They were like, "You're our guy." There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. Willie Green just graduated, who wore number 1.
Yeah.
And they were like, "You're going to get number 1," which was like one of their marquee numbers at the time.
Yeah.
So
this is for anybody who looking from the outside in, and I don't say this in attempting to cast aspersions. And I've had this conversation with NBA guys as well, and some are, off the record or a little more forthcoming, but most guys are still pretty coy about it. That if anybody is recruited as heavily as you are, and shows the ability to go to the next level, and I think this is maybe a little bit more than NBA, but it's still in the NFL. I think it's hard for the average fan not to believe that you didn't get some sort of inducements to end up going where you went.
You mean like a $500 handshake?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. I mean, if that was the case, I would have went to BC. BC is not a football school.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but that almost is even more reason for someone to say, well...
Oh, right. They didn't have all the bells and whistles. How did they pry you away from everybody else?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, man, there must have been like a Range Rover or a Hummer or something that convinced Will, like, I won't, Wisconsin, I won't go Notre Dame. I'm going to go to BC. And everybody's like,
right. Well, yeah. Huh? Question me if I'm from California. I'm a local kid.
Okay.
I'm right down the street.
I know, but talent is talent.
Talent is talent, but it still goes back to Will Blackmon, the kid from Rhode Island. He didn't play against anybody. whatever. But how I end up being a 4-star recruit is I actually went to a bunch of camps and showed up and showed out. That's what it was. Because it wasn't right. I mean, there were some actually my senior year, actually my 3 years I played, there were a lot of talented guys. I mean, tons of kids went to college. 3 guys in my league actually got drafted to the NFL.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and one of them was on my team. He went, I think, 6th round to the Bengals. Believe it or not, he only played 1 year and then he left.
Was Marvin awake for his interview?
Marvin was awake because he drafted him.
Well, 6th round, I guess. That's one of the all-time. It's one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, but no, there was. I mean, like I said, I knew the whole time I was gonna go there. That was just. I just wanted to see. I think you know what I would have done different. I would have took more visits. I only took 2 official visits. I got to the point where I was kind of just over it. I was tired. I was like, I'm going to BC. No one's going to change my mind. It is what it is. So
okay,
and it worked out.
Yeah, clearly it did. The one football subject that I want to get to before, I think we promised that we'd talk about the NBA and
what Odell almost went to the Pats. That one.
No, although we could talk about that. And there's also debate. I've seen people debating like Odell Beckham or Antonio Brown. You seem to be an Antonio Brown guy all the way.
I'm an Odell guy.
You're an Odell guy.
I am.
So hold on. So if your choice between the two, who are you taking?
Odell.
And why is that?
I think Odell's a better route runner.
Okay.
Yeah. Once again, it's hard because of AB's. Believe whether people want to say it or not, AB's relationship with Big Ben was a problem in terms of trying to defend it. Because they literally drew routes in the dirt. They played playground basketball, whether it was improvised, whether it was planned, or whether AB just did whatever he wanted to do. And Ben was like, I'll just wait till he gets open.
You know what? When you say that, it makes me think that AB speaking out is his feelings are hurt that Big Ben has been critical of him rather than speaking up for him. That's what I immediately think of. When you have that kind of a special relationship and somebody says, I don't feel I've been respected. He said it in different words, but it really comes down to that. Like, I thought we were better than that. I thought we were on the same plane. I thought we had, that's going to sound like some of my relationships before I got married. I thought we had something. Like, that ultimately, I feel is what Antonio Brown's issue is with Big Ben.
I don't know, man. I just
tell me if I'm wrong, but that's what it sounds like.
No, I don't know if you're wrong because I'm not there. I hear you. No. I hear you. For someone to speak out and go on a rant like that, they are hurt. Their feelings are hurt. Yeah. They do feel some type of way about something. You don't go on rants if you don't feel some type of way about something. But I pick Odell. I just like Odell's games better. I like his I just like his style. I think AB has made better big time plays. The one thing he has had the opportunities to. However, Odell's going to get criticized for his one playoff game that he had when he dropped everything after, he went on the boat to Miami. Yep. He wore no shirt in pregame warm up and then played horrible.
Do you equate any of those as a player? Do you equate any of those things?
What do you mean?
Well, people look at the trip to Miami and they look, warming up without a shirt, all that stuff. And then he has a bad game. They point to those things. Do you think?
Of course they will. Okay. Of course they will. Sure they will.
No, I know they will. But as a player, do you look at it and say, yeah, you know what? He shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have done that.
Well, yeah, he's also emotional too. People can get under his skin.
Okay. The bigger question, well, before we leave that, the one other thing I wanted to ask you is, so there's also a debate as to who is higher maintenance, AB or Odell. And I think it's actually not close. But I wonder who you would say is
not close as in AB's higher maintenance.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Odell AB's higher maintenance because AB does a lot. He does way more work to promote himself than Odell does.
Yeah.
AB is everywhere. He is everywhere. He's on every social media. He's constantly promoting himself, constantly speaking out for himself on Dance with the Stars, what is that called? The new singing show? Whatever it is, they wear the costume. I forget what it's called. But he's constantly everywhere. With Odell, people are constantly looking for him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good point.
They're going to him. I remember we played the Giants when I was on the Redskins. And I remember I went to the Giants hotel to go hang. I wanted to see my friends who I played with. So I was with Antrell Roll, and I think Ronnie Barnes, he's the head trainer over there. And I seen Odell walk through the lobby. He had about 4 bodyguards around him. I was like, I never seen a player with bodyguards around them at a whole team hotel. And I was like, damn, dude, like it's like that. And Antrell Roll was like, he said, Will, it's like that. Like he needs that bodyguard. It's not him being too cool, like I'm gonna get bodyguard, but he needs, because everybody wants to. All the girls want to be with him. All the guys want to be like him. Everybody wants to see Odell. And if Odell is standing there, he's going to get attacked.
Wow. Interesting.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murphy was a quarterback at Boston College.
Thank you. Of course he was. He's attending the NFL Combine, but they're not sure if he's going to participate in drills. But he was measured at 5'10", and he said this: "I've been a 5'10" projected in the first round. I mean, that's crazy to me. The fact that I'm already projected that high. I'm not over 6 foot. I haven't seen that since I've been alive." It just seems like a really odd thing. Like he's standing back and he's observing the hullabaloo around him and saying, "That's crazy. Do they know I'm only 5'10"? Nobody gets this excited about a quarterback who's 5'10". It's kind of like an out of body perspective on what he's going through. And what do you make of the fact that he's 5'10"?
Doug Flutie.
You got to give me a little bit more than that. I know Doug Flutie was undersized.
That's it. I'm going to give you Doug Flutie. Nothing else. I don't know. Let's go back to Kyler Murray.
Let's go back to what? So are you predicting that Kyle Murray will have a Doug Flutie-like career?
No, you just said what I think about him and his height. I don't care about his height. I don't know. He's a good football player.
But is he going to be a good NFL quarterback is the question.
I have no idea. What? Let me say this. I don't know the kid.
Yeah.
I heard that a couple of interviews he kind of rubbed some executives the wrong way. How so? I think just by trying to control the interview and not want to talk about this, not want to talk about that. Even when he had his interview with Deion, he gave Deion a little resistance. Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
When Deion was like, "You're a kid that loves football," he goes, "I love baseball too." He goes, "I know you love baseball, but what I see is a kid who loves to play football. When I watch the film, you look like you really love to play football." He goes, "Yeah, but I love to play baseball too. And no one has seen me play baseball. Everyone's talking about football." And Deion was like, "I saw you play baseball, and I'm telling you what I see." And he just kept, I don't know, being resistant to Deion in that regards. You can see his body language and the way he was looking at Deion. I don't know. He might be a really, really cool dude. Who knows? But
you haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
You can be tall like Peyton Manning and be good. You can be small like Russell Wilson and be good. Russell's all of 5'11".
Yeah. But that's the kind of the exception rather than the rule. I look at Baker Mayfield's success, and I think he had a successful season. That's fair to say, right?
No, but Baker he's built different though, man. It's not even the same. I'm sorry.
Compared to Russell?
No. Compared to Kyler Murray.
Okay.
The biggest thing with Baker Mayfield that was head and shoulders above all the other quarterbacks is his ability to affect his team and rise their level of play, rise their belief in terms of like, we can make this happen. The efficacy. And even player personnel guy, Alonzo Highsmith, who was with me in Green Bay, him and John Dorsey and Elliott Wolf, they were all in Green Bay. They were the ones who drafted me in Green Bay. And Alonzo Highsmith talked about going to the pro day to watch Baker Mayfield. And Baker made some call, I don't know, whistle, whatever it was. And all his teammates said it back to him. And they all rounded up. Like he has this innate ability. It's the intangibles that he's able to change a culture. And that's exactly what he did.
Yeah. And exactly what they needed.
Was what they needed. And that's what they did. Yeah. For LeBron to leave and then for Baker to bring life, that's hard as hell. That's why I respect Saquon's season. I think his season was unbelievable. But Baker's was unbelievable, not only statistically, but culturally.
Yeah, that's well put.
That's all they needed was a culture. And to go, didn't start. That's where it started, though. When he came in that first game, when Tyrod got hurt, and he came in and brought the team back and won. It's like, come on, man. Really? That's how it starts off? That's his first game? The guy gets hurt, and then he goes through all the head coach drama, all the coordinator drama. Those two guys are out. Freddie Kitchens takes over, and he doesn't even blink.
Yeah.
That's hard for a quarterback to deal with that.
I think that's all said. All right. One of the things I promised was...
I will sell Baker Mayfield, all right?
Yeah, boy, did you.
I am a fan, damn it. Okay?
Kyler Murray, you're on your own over there, pal.
Listen, this man, Baker, walked on the two schools and won the starting job of both of them.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear nothing.
Yeah, you know what's funny? My only question was size in terms of being able to operate. I wondered whether he was going to end up having a lot of batted balls at the line, and he didn't. I think he had
because you really care, or you just care because someone else said that.
No, genuinely, I've seen quarterbacks who they can see it, but they can't get the ball there.
They got to find the lanes, just like Drew Brees. He finds those lanes.
I know, but that's I don't want to take away what makes Drew Brees exceptional or Russell Wilson exceptional.
Do you have the heart and the skill? That's all you need to measure. Look at soccer. Look at Ronaldo, who's 6'2", 6'1". Look at Messi, who's like 5'5". How tall is Messi?
Yeah, well, he's a little taller than that.
What's he, 5'8"?
Yeah, but that's a different animal. Height is not an advantage for you in soccer. Size is. Ability, balance, and change of direction is. I mean, talk about like Maradona. I've stood next to Maradona. He was like 5'3", 5'4". He was like a little bowling ball.
But he was a savage. That's what I mean, though.
Also,
soccer is very, very, like what I found out. Yeah, all the flops and all that stuff. Soccer is physical as hell.
Oh, trust me. Yeah.
It's not like it's not like running around and you kick and do all these tricks. No, you're getting slid at, you're getting pushed, you're getting tripped, you're getting stomped.
Yeah.
With those 7 1/4 spikes?
Yeah, no. It's not for sissies. As much as your neighborhood might have thought it was when you were growing up. It's a lot tougher than that. Especially when you
way tougher than basketball.
More physical than basketball.
Way more physical.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's my point though, is like the size is one thing, yes. But what else is there, you know? We'll look at the film. We'll look at the person in general.
Yeah.
Does he have all those other abilities, intangibles, and skill sets that outweigh or outmeasure his size?
Yeah. Well, that ultimately worked. That certainly worked in Baker's behalf. I would say he's still a bit of an outlier, though, that those intangibles were so powerful that they outweighed anything else. And to your point, like he plays the game, he understands the game well enough. He operates within the game well enough that he does find those lanes. Because I got to think, just from a practical standpoint, if you're barely 6 feet and you're playing behind that line and you have to make the pinpoint passes that you do in the time that the limited time that you have, it's infinitely easier if you can confidently, like the passing lanes are more readily available and apparent. I would think that makes a difference.
When you look at someone like Brock Osweiler, what he's 6'8"?
Yeah. Well, but then there's other factors that come into play too.
Exactly. So the one thing that Baker is really good at, he's good at his footwork, his presence in the pocket, him able to move around, buy time, find the lanes. Like, he's good at that. He was not only the big stat with him and when he was in college is that he had the highest completion percentage. When he got in the red zone, he scored.
Yeah.
Okay. That was what's cool with him. Once again, exception. You look at someone like when Darren Sproles was at Kansas State, no one thought that this dude was going to play 15 years at 5'6", running back. Because he was built different. Mentally, he was just built different. He found his way. Same thing. Barry Sanders was 5'8", 200 pounds.
I've often been surprised at the limited height of football players. Like, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of sub 6 foot guys that are playing the game.
Yeah, because it's skill. I mean, right now the new thing is you want a 6'1" corner, 6'2" corner, because that's the cool thing. The Richard Sherman, Xavier Rhodes, Brandon Brown, all these dudes are big. Jalen Ramsey, he's like 6'1". These guys are big. Guess who went number 5 overall last year, or 4? Denzel Ward. Old school, 5'10", 180.
And had a great year.
He got hurt. That's the one thing about him. He was a little frail.
Yeah.
His frame was smaller, so he did get hurt a lot.
But he was good when he was on the field.
But he was good, yeah. They took him instead of getting Bradley Chubb. Yeah. That's what he really wanted,
All right, the one other thing we have to pay off before we say goodbye. I said that we would find out who your team is and what you expect them to do this year. So who's your NBA team?
Well, according to Jason Tatum, we are going to win the finals this year.
Oh, that.
Okay.
Wow. I picked the Boston Celtics at the beginning of the year to win it all.
It's not going to happen, though, but it's all good.
Who do you have winning it?
It's your home state team, man.
I see. I know everybody is saying that, and everybody thinks I'm crazy when I say hit the brakes, tap those brakes. But the truth of the matter is they are going to beat the brakes off of a lot of teams in the regular season because they are so potent offensively. But the weaknesses that they have defensively, they're 11th right now in defensive efficiency. That's not top 10. That is relatively low for a team that's supposed to win the title, and it's low for these guys. Now, I think they haven't always been way up there. I think the lowest they were 7th or 8th, but this is not a team that is going to get better defensively as the season goes on. And for all that DeMarcus Cousins is giving them offensively, teams are, I watched the Miami Heat before the break. They outscored them in the paint. Bam Adebayo or Hassan Whiteside, if DeMarcus stepped up to stop the pick and roll, they were just throwing it to the rim and those guys were crushing it. Draymond Green still, he's gotten better and he's better offensively, but defensively he's not what he was. Andre Iguodala's not quite what he was. Like, what made them a great playoff team and a champion was the fact that when they needed to lock down, they could. And right. I just have not seen them be able to do that consistently this year. And because of the age and some of the infirmity, injury, whatnot, I just question whether they're able to get there. And there are teams that they're going to have to go through. Maybe not in the West. Like, I could easily see them coming out of the West. But I have whoever is coming out of the East because of the defense that Toronto and Boston in particular have displayed, that I just believe that they have the ingredients to be able to knock them out. It might be a dogfight, but ultimately I think it's time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because they're constantly in the top 5 in that ranking.
Yeah. Defensively, they can really lock it down. Now, the interesting thing,
say it though. I think their mindset is kind of like, all right, it's go time. It's go time
for Boston.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And for the same reason that you saw what Kyrie did, I think we talked about this in yesterday's podcast. What you saw him do in the All-Star game, like, you can't put a price on a guy that with the game on the line can get you a shot anytime he wants.
Anytime he wants to. He's probably the most between him and KD, 2 most unguardable guys, yeah. I believe.
And like, degree of difficulty is not a problem. He's got an array of ways to attack you.
Yeah, and the NBA Finals. Who made the big shots at the end? Yep. On Cleveland.
Yep. So We shall see. All right, that does it for this episode of Bucher and Blackmon, subsidiary of
Bucher and Blackmon.
You know what? We might have to have you start to do it. That was inspired.
You got the cool cool radio voice. Like on the who's that lady on the Warriors, that movie, The Warriors? Hello, moon runners.
I don't know what to do about that comparison, but I'll just keep stepping. All right. And don't forget, we have a website, bucherandfriends.com. This is very important. It's important to us. There is a link on there to a survey. We would like you to fill out the survey because it gives us a better idea of who is listening. And if you take the time, and it's only a minute or two, take the time to fill out the survey, then you will be eligible to win a $50 gift card to Amazon to spend as you wish. So please do us a favor and go check that out. In our next podcast.
All right, now for all you boppers there in the big city.
How am I supposed to go on? I'm going to try. Wes Edens, co-owner of the Milwaukee Bucks. We got together over All-Star Weekend, and with Anthony Davis demanding a trade, it brought up the news of small markets and how do you keep a star in a small market? Because the Bucks are going to be facing that prospect in the very near future with Giannis Antetokounmpo, one of the most exciting young players in the league. And he's an avid rock climber and a basketball junkie above and beyond everything else. So had a great conversation with him. That will be our next podcast. Look for that. In the meantime, as always, thanks for listening.